Hi to all, perhaps even the notorious skeptics have a couple strange myths in which they somehow. And how many believe you can't tell what ostrich does not bury its head in the sand and Red Bulls are not annoying? They are all. I will stand my so in today's video we'll try check 15 most popular myths that people still believe when carrots and blueberries improve eyesight. You may have heard from what parents need to eat a carrot blueberries because they are able to improve vision, and most likely you believed it, and then tried fragile from a bowl. Of course, carrots and blueberries really contain vitamins and all sorts of different trace elements, and retinas are needed, but their consumption, even in gigantic quantities, unfortunately, will not improve your eyesight in any way. So how much if you did not eat carrots or blueberries, you are unlikely to be able to turn into an island of a prince or a wheel. Mice love cheese. Numerous cartoons, movies and comics claim that mice are very fond of cheese. You just have to put sweet slice in the trap like rodent not resist a treat, run out of his hiding place, and risking life and 7 strength will not try to take. But it is actually a mouse crazy all that is edible and non-edible. These also animals can eat even cardboard, plastic, blame banks and other completely inedible muck. True, most types of mouse and still a little gourmets and prefer to eat grain, fruit, ham and correct cheese. So where did this myth, you can ask all, because in the former salute times more often than other products stored in pantries and outdoor animals this was actively used, and is unlikely to anyone would blame them. Dogs don't distinguish colors. I'm sure many of you think that dogs see the world exclusively in black and white. Tones determine the shape of objects, different brightness levels, and do colored objects long even not used in training in order to avoid pets. However, the good scientists have proven that dogs still able to distinguish colors. In fact, they have color vision. The truth is a little like human, and here's the thing: for human, color vision meets 3 of a kind cones, but the dogs in the retina are present only 2 types, and that is why our 4-legged friends perceive, for example, red and orange. But there is another cool ability: dogs can distinguish up to 40 shades of gray. Coin and a skyscraper still believe that if you throw a coin with roof, for example the Empire State Building, by the moment of landing, it attains such the speed that a passerby below not be good. If I still have it, believe I like to dissuade you, because such experiments have already been conducted, and no one was injured shortly before landing. The coin develops a speed of just over 100 kilometers per hour, but without so small that people located below will only be nasty flick on the head. Most likely he doesn't like very much, and maybe he's gonna get angry, but just will remain safe and sound. People turn gray from stress. If you think that from stress and constant tension you will soon become like your grandfather, then we would be happy if this would not happen. Scientists have proved that this is a common legend, just an invention of which often used by writers and directors, so you can relax your hair, is not LLB gray before my time, even if the week will be very busy. Cause where this can happen due solely to genetic features, well, or experiences. Magnet who can't swim after eating. There is, of course, if you are going to participate in a major swimming competitions, or we not recommend you dive with a full stomach, at least with such additional load. The first place you'll definitely not see, but if you don't plan win medals, and just think cones in warm water after a hearty lunch, then you can do it without fear. Nothing terrible will happen to you. The ostrich buries its head in the sand. Ostriches hide their head in the sand at any danger is a great idea. At least so it seemed to the Roman scientist Pliny the Elder, and he decided to convey this fact to his encyclopedia. Since then, many are sure that the largest running bird in the world burrows into the sand in any incomprehensible situation, but the truth is that ostriches do not do anything like that in the end. You can just suffocate these birds in the sand. Do you bend to the ground, but not doing this to hide, and yes, to eat. Ostriches do swallow sand and pebbles to help the stomach to grind the tough food, and in case of danger prefers lies down and pressed her head to the ground. Nero and violin. This story familiar to many, but if you about it nothing do not know, then do not worry, because we can explain. So imagine 64 AD. The ancient Rome burned in the fire, and its ruler Emperor Nero is on the roof of the palace playing the violin, and how would it look on a large the screen in 3D? But we're a little distracted because there is in this beautiful and scary stories one small detail: the violin itself, where the Roman the emperor, well, I could not play, and not because we doubted just the abilities of this tool, was invented let go of 1,600 years after famous Roman fire is much more believable in this story. Looks Lyra, but to her, Nero was able to play only on distance of 50 kilometers from the hot Rome, and during the fire. It was not the eternal city, while at his villa in the suburbs rainy country, so it comes to mind when you hear the word England is probably Tea Queen Big Ben and daughter. The myth that Albion is not only on vague and very receipts and is over 100 years only here it is not adds to it realism. Actually in London every year falls somewhere 500 milliliters. Precipitation is very little in comparison. For example, Milan were recruited for the year 2 times more. However, in Italy it rains mostly these New Britain in the winter and vice versa, evenly distributed throughout the year. But anyway, if you are going on Baker Street don't forget to grab an umbrella. Cats always land on their paws. If you are a happy owner of a home, what small pussies you probably know what they always land on 4 paws. Maybe you even spent special the experiments. But if this idea ever you did not come in the head, simple believe us, there is no truth, believe me. Let the cat frets. Now cat has an amazing ability to turn over in the air after feed the kitty is diluted legs in the sides, and as it turns into a small fluffy parachute, reducing the speed of the fall, and the higher the height from which it falls, the more time it takes to perform a maneuver in the air, which is why when falling from a small height, these furry animals often do not have time to group and land on their paws. And how will it be so that the myth of 4 paws is only partially true? Asteroid flows. Do you know what the main danger can threaten a space traveler? According to the screenwriters of Hollywood films, there are neither imperial stormtroopers nor black holes about the outflow of asteroids in which a ship can accidentally crash into some. The post on the street BAM case has been damaged all to flee the ship. In reality, things are a little different between each of asteroids located integer miles and miles of emptiness, which, in general, that is no threat to people and other alien races, but besides that it's a space which does not say so. The safest place. Author Mickey Mouse. And now let's talk seriously. Mickey Mouse, and the most famous mouse in the history of mankind, was not drawn by Walt Disney. We understand this news may shock, but honestly, we would not deceive, of course. The great animator had a hand in the creation of Mickey, but for sketches, and along the way answered about IVGCF, who was famous for incredible speed. He's Not Mere was the first cartoon with participation mouse and managed to draw over 700 images a day. Later the gums still rehabilitated and gave Mickey the voice in the first sound cartoons. Dead Sea. I'm sure many have heard that the salt water on our planet is the Dead Sea in concentration, the salt in it, and that person is physically can't drown. Not argue. Deep dive in this water really are man hard. However, the Dead Sea is not the most salt on the planet, and the most not like this. At the peak of the creators did not take into account Antarctica, and it is usually there, and are all world champions in salt water too. The lake known as Don Juan was discovered on Earth Victoria in 1961, and were really impressed by the researchers. Another would be because it was not covered with ice, despite the fact that the temperature of the water reached -30 degrees, and around at 20 degrees colder, and all because of salinity, who just didn't give liquid freeze. Really unlikely. Scientists will be able to check whether people drown in this pond, because the lake became shallow decent, and now resembles a deep, but very savory puddle of opposites attracted. Sorry, expression opposites attract works only with magnets, because in life all, let's say it a little differently. According to statistics, most couples composed of people with similar interests and views on life, and it quite logical. In the end is time to build relationships. People who spend most of the day before hoarseness argue who is stronger than Mercury or Flash. However, if you leave aside the character